Thank you very much. I want to thank the organization, مؤتمر فلسطين Vienna, the Palestinian Austrian Congress, and I want to thank you. It's very difficult to be so ambitious and to talk about changing the world order. It is rational, but it's difficult. There is a place to hope, but it's difficult to talk about that in front of maybe 100,000 martyrs, 45 tons of rebels. We owe this to Gaza. We owe this to the sacrifice, endless sacrifice of the Palestinians. And to talk about myself and also about you, I think we don't have even the cognitive and the emotional tools to absorb what is now happening in Gaza. And this is the gift of Gaza to us, that with all the suffering there in Gaza, it is there. It is not us who are suffering. Gaza gives us this rationality and these tools and this vision to talk about shaking the order. And this is what it costs, this ambitious costs thousands, tens of thousands of lives. And, okay. And this is the mission, that the Palestine is in the center, located, the Palestinian cause, suffering and resistance. It's not just resistance, it's suffering. And it's not just suffering, it's resistance, is in the core of the world. The issue of Palestine is in the core of all the international struggle for justice against arming the countries, against capitalism. So we are not just talking about freedom for Palestine. We are talking about freedom for the world. Also, it is freedom for the Europeans. It is not anymore after the 7th of October. We cannot talk about free Palestine unless we perceive all the injustice struggles in the world as part and as connected to the issue of Palestine and to the struggle of Palestine. And what is clear, I think it's now more clear, that Israel is not fighting against Hamas, it's fighting against the Palestinian people. And this is so clear. The threat to Israel is the mere existence of the Palestinians, whether in Gaza, whether in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, and in the 48. And tomorrow I will talk about the case of the 1.5 million Palestinians within Israel who never thrown stones, and still we are a threat to Israel. And one of the most clear and obvious conclusions that yes, Israel is not a democratic state. It is a colonialism, and colonialist entity cannot defend itself. Israel is even don't defend and doesn't defend its own hostages. She pumped its own hostages inside Gaza. So the issue here is to expand, not just defend Israel as a colonialist system, but to expand Israel as a colonialism. And if you want to be realistic, it is not just we that talk about a new order. It's Israel also talk about new order from the other side of the map, from the other side of the reality. So it is, and if we are talking about dismantling the old order, okay, we can dismantle the old order in not in the direction of dismantling its essence, but maybe in a direction of creating a worse new order. And we should ask ourselves, what are the conditions which after shaking, and there is this world order is shaking, but what are the conditions that the outcome of this shaking will be a better world order, not a worse new order, because we should not be in an euphoria. And I'm afraid from this euphoria. I'm afraid of just being so enthusiastic about the global demonstration, and at the same time, there is a plan on the other side to get to a new order which is much, much more cruel and more imperialist. And this is, I think, what we should discuss here. And if we are talking rationally and seriously about dismantling the world order, we should ask ourselves, what are the components of this order? It is not just the American order, it's also a European one. And it's not just about arming Israel. It is also about giving Israel legitimacy. And if we want to really analyze the function of Europe, the function of the world, what gives Israel its legitimacy is not the USA. So Palestinian resistance is shaking the US world order. Palestinians should also shake something more difficult than the US world order. It's a European identity which is related to Zionism and to defending Jews in Hussein, and the European identity based and related also of the Holocaust as exception and the Jews as exception. And this is much more hard to shake and much more hard to change. And this is our mission here, the narrative, as someone said, the consciousness, the cognitive order, not just the military order and not just the geopolitical order. It's the cognitive order. And the cognitive order, the cognitive mission that faces us is very difficult because we just have to move the venue of this activity. This is, and the pressure that is upon us, we should see it. I sound pessimistic, I am not. We should perceive it as a crisis of the Zionist order, because the amount of cruelty, the level of cruelty of Zionism inside Palestine, but also inside Europe, also inside Germany, the level of cruelty is also a sign of the crisis. And the achievement of the last year, the achievement of the Palestinian resistance and sacrifices is to take out Zionism from its balance, from its normality. The secret of the success of Israel is this ambiguity between democracy and Jewish. To be also a Jewish state and a democratic state. Always to play on this contradiction, that she can have them both. That Israel offer itself to the world and market itself to the world as also a democratic state and also a Jewish state. This duality now has been broken totally. And we should use this. We should use the honesty of Israel after 70 years of marketing itself as a democratic state, now it's much, much more easier to talk not just about genocide, it's of course important, to talk about Israel itself, the legal and political system of Israel. Because the main claim of Israel in the International Court of Justice was that I am a democracy. Yes, I kill 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza. I think that the murders in Gaza now is 100, at least 100,000. Yes, I do that, but this is because the justification that I am a democracy which defends itself. Unless we address this claim of a democracy, because for the European, yes, you can be a democracy and kill the Palestinians. Both goes together. You can be a democratic state and you can kill the Palestinians because we have been humanized, not just inside Israel, but inside Europe, inside this order, inside the world order. So talking about atrocities and about cruelty is not enough. I would not even place it in the heart of our discussion, in the heart of our strategy. In the heart of our strategy should be to analyze this claim of Israel as a democracy. And as I said, the strategy of Israel, and we should analyze the strategy. We should listen to Israel carefully, not just to ourselves. We should listen to Israel carefully and follow a strategy of propaganda, hasbara, a strategy of propaganda. And when they say, without rockets, there would be no genocide, we shouldn't say no. I think we should say yes. Maybe without rockets there would be no genocide. But without rockets, there is the whole system of daily killing of the Palestinians. There is no other option than to kill Palestinians. The two options that the Palestinians have is either to kill us in this massive way of genocide, or a slow death, a slow suffocation, a slow oppression. And so this is the two options we have, and this is what we choose, to resist. And it is not Hamas who is resisting, it is the Palestinian people. And yes, you cannot differentiate between Hamas and the Palestinian people. You cannot differentiate between them. And don't talk about the 7th of October, because in 1952, Ben-Gurion started to talk about Gaza as قنبلة متفجرة, bomb إيش? Ticking bomb. It is Israel is talking about Gaza as ticking bomb already for 75 years, not just during the last year. And you know that 70% of Gaza are refugees. 70%, those who entered in 7th of October, they didn't enter the Israeli borders. They entered their own land. They went to their own land. This is their land. And you has kicked them out of their land. And this is the issue again. And Israel was always afraid from Gaza. And it is afraid from this narrative of going back to the roots of the case. And what make it so difficult, it is a hard time even for those who support Israel, because Israel now is, as I said, frankly showing it is cruelty, but what make it difficult for us to go further to a new world order which is a justice new world order, not the Israel New Order and Netanyahu New Sharq Awsat, New Middle East, because Netanyahu is also talking about a New Middle East, is the idea of Israel. Within Europe, Israel is not a state. It is an idea. It is an ethical idea. It is without this idea of defending the Jews, Germany would not build its identity cannot build its identity after the Second World War. And this is what makes it difficult for us. And this is why the solidarity of the anti-Zionist Jews is very important. And this is why the solidarity with other struggles for justice, international struggle, not local struggle for justice, is very important for the Palestinians. Now, we are confronting a different and contradictory scenarios. We don't know. We are still in the middle of the event, and it's really a shaking event. It's a shaking event, but what we know that one of the main components of this shaking is that the West has decided to export the Jewish issue to the Middle East and to the Palestine. It is, and the West, Europe, and America and Europe most has thought that the Jewish issue, they will get rid from the Jewish issue and they will export it to Palestine, and it will become a Palestinian issue, a Palestinian problem. Now, Europe knows that, no, they have the duty to confront this issue which they have created, this issue of suffering of the Palestinians and of struggling of the Palestinians, and that this issue, they cannot solve it by saying two-state solution. The debate and the discussion now of two-state solution is not contradictory to Israel colonialism. It's complementary to Israel colonialism. We cannot accept the fact to solve this suffering and to solve this Palestinian, to face and to challenge Israeli colonialism by saying two-state solution, because this is a kind of covering the roots of the issue. And we should say as Palestinians that one obstacle, and I will say it, is the lack of unity of the Palestinian people, is the lack of a clear vision, not of political solution, a clear vision of liberation. Our issue is an issue of liberation, not of state. It is not an issue of borders. It's an issue of liberation. And the only way is to decolonize the whole, from the river to the sea, a decolonization. And this decolonization is not just to make, it is not a reflection of a Palestinian ambition. It is also a reflection of the Jews also, the Jews' ambition and values, and the only way of liberating the Jewish from Zionism, because Zionism, and this would be my last sentence, Zionism is a threat, not to the Palestinians, a threat to also the Jewish, and also to the Europeans, to the whole world. And this is how we should analyze the situation and analyze our confrontation and challenging this imperialist movement.